How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Stupid Questions podcast. Today on the pod, going to be talking with Mark Evans. This is his round 2 interview. If you haven't listened to the first episode, I would encourage you to go do so, maybe to get a little more context for just who he is. He tells amazing stories. He is a retired Navy Master Chief, so he was, forgive me, Mark, if this is incorrect, but commander of a submarine, led teams to go all around the world to do different things in that regard. And just a really great leader. Like I said, he tells really good stories and is an awesome guy. So this conversation is no different. We go very deep on a number of different topics, from leadership to work, God, family, even a little bit of politics and how that relates to this current atmosphere that we find ourselves in. So it's a good conversation, and I appreciate having the freedom to have friends in this space now that I can be a sounding board with, and to think about thoughts and feelings and just things I believe and maybe don't believe and this, that, and the other. So thank you for being here. Check out the show notes if you want to check out any of Mark's stuff. Episode 200 is also coming up. If you want to jump in to offer any ideas for what to do for that episode, please check out the show notes for that, and you can support the podcast in the same way. All right. Thank you guys so much for jumping in with me. Really appreciate the opportunity to have this round 2 interview with Mark Evans. So how you doing, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm recovering. I did Ironman California on Sunday, which was super fun.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Your second one, right? Not your first.
Not my first. It was my third one. It had been 2 years, so in a lot of ways it felt like my first again. I had some of the nerves doing so many 70.3s, or any race really. I guess I've kind of lost some of the nerves, getting nervousness. But this one, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do an Ironman and not be nervous.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. What do you mean?
Well, it should make you a little nervous. Everything hard should make you nervous, right?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like 70.3s, my favorite part of a 70.3 is pre-race and transition.
Yeah.
Where people are like freaking out.
Got to get everything.
Oh my God,
pumping
my
up.
back, my back wheel's only got 65 pounds of PSI instead of 68. And let me preface this. Like, I look at them through the eyes of a father and through the eyes of someone who's, been through some tough things in life, and it's just cute. Like, I'm like, it's gonna be okay, buddy. But honestly, it's my favorite part. Like, everybody just freaking out.
Yeah,
I love
the chaos.
I love through experience and like just being an old dude that knows things. I love when I am the calmest person in the room. Like, I'm not like saying it's my claim to fame or like I have some superpower. But in those moments, I relish it. Like, yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think you would be able to relish it had you not been in the place of being a little nerve-wracked before, right?
Yeah. No, I get it. I've been that guy. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, same.
My this or that is not exactly perfect, but I love, to me, like 70.3s, like I just go, that's like the end of the race after the morning transition, watching everybody kind of freak out a little bit and having some giggles.
Yeah.
The rest it's just a long workout day. Like, I've never felt like I was never going to finish. Like, the only 70.3 at DNF was the one I got hit by a car. And so,
yeah.
But fulls, like I've done many fulls, and I've never DNF'd a full, but I walked a lot of marathons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no kidding. How many fulls have you done?
I think I had 10, I think.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I guess I'll preface it with saying this. So one of the greatest lessons that I've taken away from just endurance sport in general, and forgive me if I told you this before, but was going on like a really long, at the time, was a long bike ride, was like 3 hours, and I was going with a group, and they were all much fitter than I was, and honestly, the night before, I felt like it was a race. Like, that's how nervous I was. Got out there on that ride. They dropped me like less than 20 minutes in. They waited for me at a stop sign. I rolled up, couldn't get unclipped, fell on another guy,
Oh
Like it
no.
was just, and then didn't fuel right. So 2 hours in, like I'm still getting dropped off the back. One guy comes back and gets me, and it's just, oh, I was so embarrassed. That guy would end up becoming my coach, and we have a great relationship now. But it's so interesting now because I can go out in the same level of effort for 3 hours and look up, and your perspective is so much wider, even physically, like the amount
Yeah.
of information you're able to take in. And so with Ironman, I feel like I'm getting to that point a little bit. This is my third one. The first one was just like the elation of, oh, I'm going to do it. The second one was actually I was crying in the porta potty. The like literally the few minutes before the swim, like I had given in to honestly like pornography the night before. I was up way too late, was just screwing around, and then I get up and I start going, dude, and I'm like, my mindset was not there, and I walked half the marathon, and it was the worst mentally and physically I'd ever been. So this one, I was like, okay, well, I'll take it in stride. If pain comes, I'll deal with it then. But I actually said stuff out loud like, this is a gift, and I noticed my pace quickened when I like said that and believed that. So for you,
Yeah.
what kind of things have you learned about yourself and the ability to like keep a wider perspective, I guess, as you've done 10 of them?
I'll tell you, my favorite, like I crushed Mont Tremblant one year. Like it's probably my best race ever. I just was on that day, felt really good. Um, and I thought that was like the best possible outcome of a
Mm.
full. And then I was doing Ironman Boulder the last year they had Ironman Boulder, and I just got the water. The water was warmer than the air temperature. It was freezing. It was like
Wow.
47 degrees or something crazy. And I got out of the water and I pulled off my wetsuit and I just saw like steam come out of my wetsuit. And to this day, I'm convinced like that was my soul.
Leaving your body.
I was like, oh no, shit, I'm done. Like that's
Yeah.
it. There goes my race.
Yeah.
So, but what I love that race because I froze my butt off on the bike and I just couldn't eat. I was
Mm.
so I was so cold. I was just like, and I kept trying to eat, but I couldn't get nothing in.
Yeah.
And like I finally warmed up at the end of the bike, and I got off the bike and I'm running like a mile into the run. I'm like, yeah, I feel pretty good. I ate nothing all day,
That's crazy.
and like about a half mile later, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I just immediately like it just hit me like a ton of bricks. So I had 24 miles to become an in-race spectator,
Mm.
and man, that was such a great experience because like my day was over, so I was like, I got to get back to town anyway, you know. Um, but I met so many people, like I started feeling bad for myself, and then someone goes by with one leg, with a big old stinking smile on his face,
Yeah.
keep going, man, and you're like, all right, loser,
Perspective.
like don't be such a loser, like.
Yeah.
And then I met it was I think you go into town and it was the double loop and I was on my second loop and there was this guy, he had to be 350 pounds, like he was big dude,
Yeah.
big, and like I could hear him coming, like I was walking and he was shuffling,
Mm-hmm.
and like he just started yelling like, hey, like he's like and like I turn around, he's like, hey, what's up, buddy? And he's like, is this your first lap or your second? I'm like, oh, it's my second. He's like, oh, it's my first. He goes, I'm in the back of the bus club. And like
What
the
a
dude was
perspective.
just, yeah, dude, he was just awesome. So I like shuffled with him, like I ran with him for a little bit. And he was like just telling me, he's like, yeah, my dad died of a heart attack and I got
Mm.
kids and, like just random stuff that comes up in a race. And you're talking to this total stranger. And like I really fell in love with the sport. Like that's what I like. You don't get that in the half distance.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like even if you walk, you don't really. No one's really hurting that bad.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like high intensity, short burst type of thing.
yeah. And
Yeah.
honestly, that was like a shift in the dynamic of the sport. Like I was kind of a knife hand, atypical
Got to go fast. If I don't go faster every time,
triathlon a-hole.
Yeah.
My got to have a carbon fiber freaking toilet paper. Everything's got to be carbon fiber. Uh, you know,
That's
and
funny. That's good.
After that, I was like, you know what? This is fun. This is cool. Like there's this. After that, it was an experience more so than a race for me.
Yeah.
So
I wish everybody could experience that because I was looking up some statistics, even what percentage of the world does Ironman, and there's something to be said about people who are literally could not do one, or they're so far removed culturally and physically from the locations of them that it's not going to happen. But the percentage of the world that actually completes an Ironman was 0.008, I believe, and some
crazy.
string, which is like very small.
But it's like
And
everybody I know has done one.
I know it's crazy. It's like communities, everything, right? I swear, triathlon honestly is a religion. I have thought about this more and more. Like, church is race day, and it's like swim clinics are going out to the community or whatever it is. But what's super fascinating to me about the Ironman thing is like what you're talking about, the stories that people come into those races with, and I had a similar experience you were talking about with like you're going on your second loop and then somebody else is on their first. I was talking with this older guy. It was his first ever Ironman. He was in his late 50s and he was running faster than me. And I was actually trying to keep up with him at that point because I was hurting so bad.
Gotta
And
watch those old men. They got old man strength.
dude, I'm telling you, like, I don't understand it. Like some of those men are the fastest out in the field.
I've tapped into it a few times. It's
Oh man.
yeah. Anyway,
I want some of it. Yeah, no. So, I thought he was on his second lap and I thought we were going to finish together. And I guess through talking with him, I figured out that he was going on a second lap. So we like split off there at the minute. And for whatever reason, that gave me a boost because I was like, well, if he's that positive still, like surely I can carry for the last mile, through the streets to come around. And
yeah.
everyone deserves the experience to have been pushed to a place where you question everything. And I don't know if you can if you can just hand that to somebody without like, I don't know, like without having to do a lot of work to get to that place. You know what I mean? Like when I'm trying to put together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm such a crotchety old man, I'll tell you. So I'm kind of two things. I'm like a two-headed monster. I'm like a 14-year-old girl because I'm on Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looking at my shares,
Yeah. My likes, my
likes,
comments.
But and then like I'm a grumpy old man because I'll be like this. I feel like I'm trying to say this politically correct, but I feel like
Please don't.
there's a desire not to be a victim, but to be somehow
Hurt
by the world.
Mm.
Like I feel like there's a genuine desire, and for me, I've been to actual places where it's pretty horrible. Like water is a luxury, And to see some of the people I see on Instagram, like talking about, gotta be tough. Like, I think I talked about it in our first one. Who's the Navy SEAL? He's an ultra
Jocko.
runner. Nah, Jack.
David Goggins.
Goggins. Yeah. Which, look, David Goggins is an amazing man. God bless him. All more power to him. But that mentality of gotta, my life sucks. Gotta just suck it up, do it. I think it has a very limited application to real life.
Mm.
And I think people see that and they're like, they're like me, sitting in a frickin' this is a $150 sweater. It's made by Viore. I love it. Hey, my life's not that. If you're wearing a $150 sweater, look at this coffee cup. All right, this is handmade. The coffee in it is from like some, country around,
Look at this gold bar here. Like no.
Right. So I'll get on Instagram in my Viore and my coffee cup, wear my $600 Garmin watch, and talk about how rough I got it.
Yeah, it was real hard to get into the pool this morning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm so proud of myself.
It's interesting you say that. Like it is good to poke fun at that stuff because it's a very real thing. Now, there is a level of hardness to do those things, but what you
Yeah.
touched on is actually really fascinating to me with this desire to be a victim because so I want to share some. I don't think I've ever told anyone this. Um,
Oh boy.
so like my story a little bit. Like my dad passed away when I was 16,
Hmm.
right? Before that, I had no real self awareness to kind of look at my life in a way and say like, well, what are the hard things I've gone through, right? Like that was the first thing that like really kind of turned the light on, like, oh, this is a tough thing. But I kid you not, when I was 16, probably 6 years before that. I think I was 10, maybe even a little younger. I was in middle school, and this girl who I was in school with, her mom was dying of cancer.
Oh,
And I kid you not, remembering having the thought in my head, like I want something kind of bad to happen to me. I want people to feel like that toward me.
yeah.
And I recognized that that was not a right feeling. Like there's something messed up in that
Right.
space. And then when crap actually hit the fan, like and then I started to struggle like, well, I actually was like, did I bring this upon myself? Like, which isn't true. But like, as a kid, you're going through like those thought processes and trying to just make sense of the world. And like, even to this day, as I've gotten older, like I've been through some hard things. And some of my friends, even mentors, have been like, no, use that. Like, use it as a platform to like share, the positivity or whatever. But part of me is like, well, maybe I should never just tell anyone that at all because if I cause someone to feel that type of a thing, like where they want to be the victim, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking out loud here because I never understood why that is a desire. Because secretly, a lot of people want a war to happen or like for chaos to be just bad or like yeah. Tell me what you're thinking.
So I think that's I think that's part of being an adolescent. I think there is, especially, I can only speak from a man's standpoint. I'm a man. When I was young, the household I grew up in, the men in my household, my father, my older brothers, were all valued based on ability and achievement. It was different for my sisters. I grew up in a very traditional household. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but my sisters were sweet and kind and pretty, right?
Southern gal.
The boys in my family, we mowed grass and shoveled and rode motorcycles, and our ability in sport and to kind of help my father around the house was how we were valued. So I think, at least from a man's standpoint, I think that feeling of being untested is like, am I a man? Like I went through that probably in my early 20s. Like, yeah, you know, I kind of want something bad to happen so I could see how I really react.
Mm.
I think now we have like this trend of manufactured strife where we put ourselves in difficult situations, knowing that all we really have to do is like we can just stop and go home, you know. Um, but in the absence of real strife, I think that's all you really have to kind of measure who
Mm.
you are as a person. And I get that, and I'm not dogging on folks. Like you can't control.
Yeah.
Some people are born very blessed and have tons of money, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not strong people. I'm just saying their tests are different, like
Yeah.
than my test. My test was I woke up and tried not to get beat up by my older siblings. And then I went to school and tried not to get beat up at school. I was in survival mode. Like, why don't zebras have ulcers? Did I talk about this last time?
I can't remember.
The-
Maybe say it again. No one remembers it if I
Uh,
don't.
I think it's a book. Why don't zebras have ulcers?
Okay.
So this doctor, I don't forget what kind of doctor he was. He might have been a psychiatrist. He went and he studied zebras in Africa. And he's like, why don't these zebras have ulcers? They're hanging around lions all the time and
Just
alligators.
stress. Yeah.
Yeah, why aren't they stressed out? And, you know, what his conclusion was there are different types of stress. There's chronic stress, like traffic and work and, relationship things that are just like there looming. And that's not really good. It causes a lot of cortisol and, you're not healthy. But zebras don't have that because they're either too dumb to know or they just don't care about their
Mm.
surroundings. Zebras have what's called episodic stress. So, they're just eating grass, hanging out with their other zebra buddies, joking, grab-assing on the plains, and then a lion shows up, and they're like, "Oof," right, and
Yeah.
like their heart starts pumping, all their blood goes to their hindquarters so they can run as fast as they can,
Yeah.
and I mean their lungs, their oxygen capacity gets bigger,
Mm-hmm.
everything shuts down. That's not like in that flight,
Mode.
and they get away, and 5 minutes later they're eating the grass again. Like, oh, they,
Yep.
they
Yep.
must they must
Lion
they
got
must
tired.
they must have got Bill.
Mm.
Anybody seen Bill? And they're like, oh shit. Well, I guess
I
good
guess
not to
we'll
be Bill.
keep eating. Yeah.
So, and then, but their heart rate goes back to normal, and and that's why don't zebras have ulcers, right?
Yeah.
And I think to some extent that's in us. That's some kind of primal thing again, speaking from a male perspective, is can we outrun that lion?
Mm.
When the lion shows up, am I gonna hesitate or am I gonna react as one of the more dominant of my species, right?
Mm.
That kind of mentality. I
Yeah.
think that's part of it, at least for me.
Yeah.
I always want to know if I was like alive because of modern medicine or if my actual genetic makeup was part of the gene
Equation to
pool
keep you alive.
that would be alive if we didn't have modern medicine,
Yeah.
But
What is your belief? What do you think? What's the split? Like, it sounds like you're still a little split-minded on it.
um, I mean, I'm missing several organs, so modern medicine has really,
Come away.
yeah. Like I don't have a spleen, I don't have an appendix, uh, but I mean, yeah, I think for the most part, I come from good genes, for
Yeah.
sure. My
What
dad was
is?
a tough guy, man. Talk about no cardio. I've never seen that guy trot. I mean, smoke 2 packs a day.
Isn't that
He would
interesting?
drink a gallon and a half of coffee every morning.
Mm.
Never exercised. Always stressed out. But he lived to be 90.
I have a theory about that I'd like to see what you think about that.
Oh,
And
good,
I
good.
I throw this at Scott Tyndall from Fuelin, and he was vehemently opposed to a degree, I should say. But he had a very strong opinion on it. But I think honestly, a huge piece of that has got to be less with like the extracurricular things that we add into our system, which those do matter. Drinking shows like doesn't help you out. Smoking doesn't
Yeah.
help you out. But our quality and nutrition value of food, because in America, I don't know. Went to New Zealand like last December for Worlds, and the food there was like everything is farm to table.
Same.
It's
I went to Portugal. It was
yeah,
like my body, I've never felt better when I
yeah.
was eating there.
So America, we're all like capitalism, which is I like capitalism, but I
Yeah.
don't like capitalism when it comes to agriculture. Like
It's greed, man.
yeah, it's crazy, but everything's just dead. Like there's nothing really there except like the bare structure, and then all the nutrients are just like gone.
Yep. Yeah. Nettie, my wife she's a nutritionist, so she's always telling me like, don't eat that. Like, um, and she helped me a lot in my recovery. Like, I would say 80% of my recovery was diet, supplements,
Mm.
uh, things that I have never done, like ashwagandha and zinc
Ashwagandha maca. Yeah.
and magnesium. I don't even know what it is. Could have been poison for all I know. She's trying to kill me, but
She wants your money. What are you talking
I,
about?
I know I got a really good life insurance, man. I'll tell you. But yeah, and it made a huge difference. Like I would be sore or stiff, and then she would, give me something, and you know, just do like exercises. Like movement was definitely my number one medicine. I would go for
Yeah.
walks every day. I would go for like 3-hour walks when I was in my brace, my broken neck and back.
Mm.
I was tired afterwards. And that's really the only time I slept because I was exhausted, but
Yeah.
it was good. Good mentally too, like
Yeah.
getting out and
With your spleen, because that filters blood, like the old bad blood, like are you just full of bad blood now?
I guess so. Uh, so it was trauma related. Like
Yeah.
some people lose their spleen because of some chronic illness or some type of genetic disease. I was on a motorcycle and I hit a tree at age 14 and it ruptured. I had internal bleeding, so it had to be removed. Um, and the doctor said, so essentially they gave me, I think it's called Pneumovax. It's like this, because your spleen is part of your immune system. It
Yeah.
helps with viral stuff. So they gave me a Pneumovax, I think it's called. I'm not a doctor, but my memory serves me correct from 35 years ago. It was a Pneumovax, and the doctor said you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be normal. He said you'll either get sick all the time or you'll never get sick. And it's funny because I went to a high school with a kid who lost his spleen, and it's around the same time, and he is sick all the time. And I, knock on wood, as long as I eat right and sleep well, I rarely get sick.
That's
Rarely.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I
And
wish that I
and
wish there was like an in-depth study of that to like understand like the other parts of the immune system because if some people lose, I've heard if they lose one type of sensory um, or sense like a sight or smell or taste or whatever, like the other ones will kind of turn up a notch to kind of compensate. So I'd love to know like what pieces of your immune system have compensated. Obviously, eating healthfully, like that one's huge. That one's just like an
yeah,
external factor,
so
but
so that's the thing, right? How much is it? Does that other my friend in high school, did he eat right and sleep well? I don't
yeah,
know. Maybe he
yeah,
didn't, and maybe that's why he's sick all the time.
yeah,
Maybe it's just weakened him enough that if you're not eating right and not sleeping well, you get sick. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Again, all anecdotal,
yeah.
but my experience, I've lived a normal life. In fact, I joined the military, submarines. I got 2 years into my first submarine tour, and I went up to medical. They're like, Evans, you need to go up to medical. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, uh-oh. Like, what's wrong with me? I go up there, and the doc walks in. He's like, you don't have a spleen. I'm like, nope. He's like, you're not allowed to be in the military.
How'd you get through that?
So, I mean, the guy, he just was like, do you have any issues? Like, are you on medication? And I'm like, nope. He's like, do you ever have any problems? I'm like, nope. He's like, do you want to stay in the military? I'm like, yep. He's like, well, we'll get you a waiver. And they just signed a waiver.
If you die, we're not responsible. What in the world did that waiver say? We're not
Pretty
giving you
much.
a spleen.
Yeah, it just waived that requirement. People get waivers for all kinds of things in the military. Like if you do
Interesting.
drugs recreationally, I don't know if they changed it now, but like if you smoke marijuana in high school and you are honest and you tell them that when you go to the recruiter, that you have to get a waiver for that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. As long as it's recreational.
Yeah, but if it's medical, yeah, interesting.
Well, back then it was when I went in, we didn't
Wasn't
have
even a
medical.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah. But like it can't be you can't be like, ah, yeah, man, I was smoking every day because I'm addicted to it, or
yeah,
even cocaine or hair, like any drug, as long as I did it one time to try it, they'll give you a waiver.
yeah.
But if you're like, yeah, I'm snorting a pound of coke a day, it's probably they're not gonna
Did
give you
you have to waive other things such as that?
a waiver. Mm-mm. I was such a I drank beer, man. We were all in the woods next to
Yeah,
fires drinking beer, and
yeah,
that stuff was around, but I don't know. I just never. It never like crossed my path, and I never really sought it out. I was just happy getting drunk and jumping over the fire. That's literally we would literally go up in the woods and build a bonfire and sit there and drink beer.
and jump over it. I jumped over fire, but I never got drunk, so I must be a special kind of stupid.
Yeah, I only done it drunk, so I guess
Yeah,
together we
that's
make
fair.
one person. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So, a couple things. I guess first I want to congratulate you officially. You got officially married, what, not too long ago, just like 8, 9, 10 weeks?
August 25th. Yeah.
August 25th. So, yeah, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah. I have no idea why she was marrying me, but hey,
You haven't a
I'm
slight
gonna
clue?
ride this train till it derails. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How old are you again? Remind me.
I'm 50. She's 30.
Yeah.
She's actually 31 now. So for a
Nice.
brief moment, we're only 19 years apart.
Yeah.
But I'll be 51 soon enough.
Yeah.
But and I also lost my job last week.
Oh shoot, dude. I was gonna ask you what's going on in the work world. Yeah, what happened?
Yeah. Well,
That you're allowed to say.
it's just a necessary evil in the industry I'm in. So I work for the government. They're reducing in force, and we had gone through 3 reductions in force. 3. We got rid of 1/3 of our entire workforce, and they're like, "We got to do one more." They nabbed me on the last one. So,
Sheesh. What were you doing specifically? I forgot.
so I'm a systems engineer. I work on SATCOM, satellite communication systems,
Yeah.
integrating new technologies into weapon systems, stuff like that, for the Navy and the Army. I'll be okay. I got a nice severance package. Believe it or not, I was thinking, initially you're like, oh my God, I lost my job. And then, as I'm sitting in my $150 Vuori sweater, drinking coffee from some place that some poor bugger doesn't even have water, um, I realized that the biggest stressor in my life was my job. Like, not even close. Like, the work that I did or that I do is very cerebral. I don't want to sound like I'm some kind of genius, but it's a lot of problem solving and thinking and trial and error. So I found myself to be always at work. Even like on a long bike ride, I'd be thinking about a work problem, or a long run, I'd be thinking about it. So in the pool, no better place to think about
Anything.
integrating technology into SATCOM systems than
Yeah.
when you're surrounded by water in the silence of the swim. But I don't like that. I don't like it. I think it made me a bit bitter. Like I had like a pretty healthy disdain for work. And Lynette, who's a very aware, alert person. She's very in tune, especially with me. A lot more in tune with me than I am with her. She's wonderful. And she's like, since you lost your job, she's like, after the one day of like stressing out, she's like, you're very calm.
I was gonna say you seem a bit lighter than like last time.
Yeah, right. uh, and I thought about it, and like, God, I hate that you're right, and that you know me better than me. But yeah, 100% right. I'll find something, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally the only thing I got going on in life that I'm like minor concern.
Yeah.
So kids are healthy. My son's in Panama City in the Air Force, living the dream. My daughter's just got a new job. She's doing well. She lives with me.
Yeah.
Nettie's doing well. So more
What do you want?
more.
Yeah. How old do you want to live to?
Man. So I want to live like, I think anybody be lying if they didn't say they want to live to be like 120 and see their great grandkids, and of course I'd love that. I don't I don't want to be a burden on anyone. And I want to be able to live. So for me it's about quality and not quantity. And I know that sounds crazy, but I just I just I just don't want to be like my grandmother lived with us when we were kids, and she lived to be like 97. But she stopped talking to me when she was like 88. Like I would go down. We had a basement she lived in, and I would go down there, and she'd be like, "Oh, there's a man in my basement." And I'm like,
Mm.
"Grandma, it's me." Like she had dementia.
Mm.
She probably took like 30 pills a day, and they were like one was for pain, and then one was for like to
The
bring her
symptom
out
of
of
the
the,
symptom.
yeah, exactly. And you know, of course I love my grandmother, and I'm glad I got to know her and be around her, but I think even she, like with a clear body and mind, like if she could see the last 10 years of her life, she'd be like, "Nah, please, just put me under an oak tree somewhere and come see me every now and then." On, I, and that's what I want. My dad, that guy. So big fan of my dad. And he like calls his shot. He's like, "Yeah, one day I'm just gonna go." And that's how he died. He was sitting in his chair, his favorite chair, talking to my mom, and my mom now to ask him a question. She wasn't looking at him, and she's like, "His name is Dick. Get it out now, everybody laugh, okay?" That's what they called
Richard?
people. His name was Richard, yeah, but he insisted on being called Dick. And my mother's name is Ethel, so Dick and Ethel. It should be a TV show. But my mom was like Dick, I just asked you a question, and like she turned, and he was just sitting in his chair, like just slumped over,
Wow.
and that was it. And
Mm.
they actually they called the ambulance, and they like resuscitated him. They got his heart started again, but he was brain dead. Like the only thing that like it gave like the kids time they kept him on
Yeah.
life support to come and say goodbye,
Yeah.
but
Hold a warm hand. It makes a big difference.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. Like I was, tough to see, but I'm
Mm.
glad I got an opportunity to say goodbye. And
Yeah.
he'll be 17, 18. It'll be 7 years next week. He died.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yep, great guy, man. What
Yeah.
a I cannot tell you how blessed I am. Like the two people I admire the most, my heroes in my life, my father and my son. Like
Mm.
100%, no doubt, the best human beings I've ever been around. And it's like awesome. You know, some people
Yeah.
search their whole life and they never have somebody to like emulate that really impacts their life. My dad was that for me. And now my son, I'm so upset that I have all these speeches in my head about being responsible and having
Mm-hmm.
integrity and, being a nice guy. And I have the most responsible, nice, honorable son on the planet. And it's like, all right, buddy, you
You,
just you just ruined my pleasure.
yeah.
You know?
You can't
Nah,
sit him down and bestow your wisdom now, huh?
he's telling me stuff that I'm like, oh, you're right. I should probably do that. But
Wow. Well, that says a lot about you as a father. I mean, as a steward of
yeah,
a young life. I mean, obviously he didn't just learn everything from you, but it sounds like you were probably the biggest influence in his life.
yeah. Nah, he's
How's
a
it
good kid.
how's that make you feel as a dad?
Ah, I mean, gushing, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about because, no one cares about your kids, really. Like they kind of ask, "Oh, how's the kids doing?" I'm like, "Well, back in 2005, my children, like I just start my dissertation, but
Mm-hmm.
um yeah. And that's the kind of stuff I always come back to in times of like strife, you
Mm-hmm.
know. When I'm troubled, I think about like, God, I don't really have much to complain about, you know.
Hmm.
And for me, that's been the overarching theme of my life is, yeah, I've been through tough stuff, but God, I got it really good. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel guilty when I start complaining, and I do. I have moments of weakness and I start
Sure.
bitching, but usually very short-lived, and I just get back to it and realize that it's probably not that bad,
Mm-hmm.
that there's probably some kid in Africa somewhere wondering where he's going to get his next meal or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just so And I think that's uniquely American. You could say Western, but I think it's uniquely American. We have it so good in this country that we don't understand sometimes that we have it that good.
We kill
And
ourselves.
I'm not minimizing things. Like we have problems. We have really valid issues, and people have hard lives, and that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we also have an absorbent amount of opportunity in this country. Um, and that's not the case everywhere. So
Yeah. We can kill ourselves with prosperity. You can kill
yeah.
yourself with prosperity if you don't
Well,
know
I
how
think
to
you
use
get
that.
lulled into the I deserve. I love when people say that. That's I deserve. Okay, I'll bring it back to triathlon. Something very current events, and I'm gonna take a beat now for this, but with the slot allocation, I deserve a slot. I was top 10 overall. I deserve. I No, you don't. You
It's a
know
hot take.
the rules were set. Everybody was under the same guidelines. Okay, and some of those guidelines were set based on previous feedback. But now that it didn't work out your way, we start with the I deserves.
Mm.
Like I'm willing to listen to compromise and new ideas, but when you start a conversation with I deserve, I'm gone. Like you just lost me.
Mm.
Because in my mind, that tells me that you have some ulterior motive that is self-serving, and it's not a good way to approach any problem in life, right? If you're approaching everything through this lens of you and how it specifically affects you, I think you're being a bit nearsighted. And
Mm.
I think that's again something uniquely Western and American.
It is interesting. I'm looking up the actual definition of the word deserve because in my mind, as you're saying this, I'm asking myself the question: does anybody actually deserve anything? Does a child deserve to be loved by their parents? And I think that they don't actually. What do you think?
Man, I think that's philosophical in some ways because love, right? What is love?
Yeah. Are you asking me? You want me to answer?
Yeah. What's love?
I would say God is love. And what is God? God is love. Love is God. I don't know. Like
Right.
it's
So
the
you're
it's the
asking me,
yeah.
does a child deserve love?
Yeah.
You have a different definition of love than I do,
Do
and
I?
there's yeah,
What's
100%.
yours? What's yours? Because I don't have a child yet, right? Like is that what you're getting at?
No, I'm just saying that what is considered loving,
Mm-hmm.
what you would consider love, may be different than what other people consider love, right? So
Mm.
does a child deserve love? Yes, but I think when you're talking about the deserve side of things, and when you say I deserve love, you're not you're saying you're not saying I deserve love. You're saying I deserve to be loved the way that I want you to love me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where deserve is introspective, right? So if you're saying I deserve dinner, right? You're not saying I deserve nutrition and sustenance, right? Because I could give you spaghetti and meatballs, but you don't like spaghetti and meatballs. So you're saying I should get lasagna,
So they're saying
right?
I desire rather than I deserve.
Right. And I think deserve and desire are derived from the same word. And it's because when you say I deserve love, I feel like you're telling the world that you want something, but you want it in the way to manifest in the way that you want it to manifest.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I see what
Yeah.
you're
So
saying.
when someone says I deserve something, You know, uh, sure. And
So
I used to tell my kids when they used to talk like that, like, I'll solve your problem for you. I'll give you what you want. You're not going to like it. I'm going to specifically make it so you don't like the way I give it to you, to teach you the lesson that you don't deserve anything, that you don't get things the way you want them all the time. You get things the way you need them.
mhm.
And that's life. And you know, you get you get food sometimes you don't like, and but it's food,
Yeah,
you know. So I have a tough spot with the deserve thing. I'm not
I dig it.
a genius, but I that's my experience, and I think anybody who starts a conversation with I deserve, they're trying to fill a hole that not everybody can see. So,
Mm.
you know,
I did want
we
to
all
read
deserve stuff.
this.
So okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted to read this super quick because as I was looking it up, like for Latin, the root of deserve is it's Deservire. I can't say it. It's probably disvere or something like that, meaning to
Uh-huh.
serve or to devote oneself to the service of, and in this case, like another. So like when you're talking about like deserving of love, I guess that's what love really is. It's like it's a form of service. I think that's what I would call it. Because like as you know, your children, my children, my wife's pregnant right now, so like my child deserves me to provide for it because it cannot provide for itself. So like that's a form of love. Like that's truly what I think love is. Because I don't deserve anything outright. I need things, and those needs
Right.
can only be met by an act of service from another.
Yep.
But going back to what you're saying with like the deserving thing too with your kids, I remember being young and pushing the envelope and saying like the complete opposite of like, you know, trying to be the contrarian or I kind of with I deserve this and like almost wanting my father to be like, no, like I'm not going to do this for you or I, you know, like to kind of have that hard line on something because kids say one thing, they think another, but we're like trying to find the boundaries of our morality from a very young age. I feel like, well, what do we want? And then and like also like my mom and dad when I would argue with my mom, part of me would be like, Dad, I want you to back mom up here. Like I'm kind of testing you. I'm calling you out loud to like support me, but I want to see you stand up
Divide
for
and
that
conquer.
woman. Yeah. Like but it's interesting like the how kids work in that way. I'm thinking a lot about this obviously because my wife's almost 6 months pregnant and I'm like,
I know, man. You got it. This is like boot camp for you. We got to
I
get you
know.
all loaned up.
I know. Send me through, coach. Like I'm ready. I want to go through boot camp, honestly.
You
Make
know what? Just don't worry about being a dad, dude. You're
yeah.
ready.
No, thanks, man.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
Yep. There's no such thing as being ready to be a parent.
Yeah, true that.
How do you
You're
be?
right.
How? What do you?
Yeah.
Tell me what you do to prepare.
I don't know, man. I think
Because I
I
guarantee you, the first thing that's going to happen is the thing you thought would never happen. And you'll be like,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, I know that's why I'm gonna try to keep all of my stuff in check for all of these thoughts and plans I have for this little life.
you
And
become
see,
extremely grateful as a parent. You're like, I'm just glad only one of them pooped their pants.
at the same time.
I had twins,
Oh, dude, let's go.
so I was ready to be a dad. Oh, let's do this. And they're like, well, you got two now. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. You know?
That's so funny. I wanted twins so bad.
Yeah. I mean, it was great. People always ask me, well, was it hard? I'm like, I had zero and then I had two. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Was one easier?
yeah.
It seems like it would be, but maybe not. They
Mm,
had a playmate all the time. Like I could put them in a pen and they would just like drool on each other. That was kind of cool.
yeah,
But getting out of diapers was a major milestone. And I was
yeah,
like, I'd be so tired. I'd come home from work and, my spouse at the time, she would be tired too, taking care of the kids all day. And like, I'd be like nodding off and like never failed.
just
Both of
completely
them
empty.
would just like fill their diaper to the max. Do you know what I mean? And we're not talking like you could just change it. We're talking like they need to be hosed
Yeah, get
down.
the hose,
You know,
stick
but
them in the mud room and just spray
you
them
do miss
clean.
that stuff. I will say
Yeah,
that. You do miss
yeah,
that. I always joke with my daughter because she lives with me and she works at a kennel. She loves animals and she's like a kennel assistant.
spraying lots of
She
poop.
cleans up a lot of dog poop and stuff. So I'm like, it's good practice for when I get older and you got to change my diaper. And she's like,
Mhm.
oh, Dad, it's so gross. I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
changed your diaper for like 4 years.
That's so interesting you brought that up with the dog kennel, man, because that brought back a memory I have not had since I think I was 13. So I got in a fight at school and I had to do community service and I worked at a dog kennel for like 3 days. And I was like, oh, I'm going and I'm in trouble, and
Yeah.
they do that to kids. I thought I was going to get like thrown in prison. But anyway, I was working with dogs and spraying poop, and it was like the first time that like I realized when you actually get in trouble, most people don't treat you like you're just a piece of trash. Like they actually just want to kind of help you out, and that really shifted my mind on punishment and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, the dog poop brought that up.
Yep. Uh, so you'll be fine as a dad, man.
Thanks, man.
Got
So
a
I
good.
want to thank you, thank you. I will say one last thing before, just because we're talking about kids. So I went to go see my sister. My middle sister, she's the only one with kids right now. She has a 1.5-year-old and a 4-month-old who I got to see for the first time.
Oh,
So a little
nice.
girl. And at this time, I did not know if I was having a girl or not. But I love my little nephew. He is adorable. He's awesome. And I can't wait for us to get older and, be able to have the uncle, relationship.
Yep.
But with my sister's little daughter, man, when I looked in that little girl's eyes for the first time, she just lights up. And like, all I want to do is like, I feel like I'm giving her something that I cannot quantify when I look in her eyes and hold that gaze. Because,
Yeah.
there's studies that show when you lock eyes with someone, like there's an exchange of serotonin
Yeah.
and these other chemicals. But I was just so aware in that moment that this is what girls need. This is actually what my daughter will need. It's just to be seen in a very real way. And it just like hit me so hard in the gut, man, where I actually started crying a little bit. And then I found out I was going to have a girl. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have the opportunity to give her that. And there's nothing more exciting, but like earth shatteringly scary at the same time. Like to know that that's my responsibility. Like,
You're going to impact your children's lives more than you know. And here's what I learned. Like, and this was not on purpose, but all the speeches I had and all the things I wanted to teach them, the biggest influence over my children was the example I set for them. 100%. I see it. My son does things that I do. And I'm like, where do you learn that from?
mm,
And, specifically with my daughter, who was just sitting on the couch, but she's not here now, so I could talk about her.
good.
She struggles with attention. Like she wants attention, specifically from the opposite sex. She's 19,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is natural, and I'm okay with it. Like I get it. Uh, but the attention that I give her, or have given her whole life, like the loving attention, hugging, telling her positive things about herself, that kind of stuff. I'm reaping the benefits of that now because she was in some relationships where she was getting negative attention from boys.
Mm,
And I would just ask her questions. I would be like, Olivia, if this guy likes you, if someone says this to you, does that make you think that they like you? Or does that make you think that maybe they don't like you, but they just want to get something from you? And she's like, they probably don't like me because that's not very nice. I'm like,
mm.
well, there's your answer. So I think giving her that baseline of what a man's
Should.
positive attention is supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
is helpful for her.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't do that on purpose. I just, I love the little shit. Like she's my daughter. There's one day you're gonna come home and like she's gonna like elevate out of her bed and her head's gonna spin around backwards and like she's gonna do vicious, vicious things to you, and you're just gonna be sitting there like, I still love you. I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, just be a good example, man. And
Mm.
I think because I went through a divorce, not a great example. Um, but I sat them down and I explained to them, this is what I did. This is why it happened. This is what I regret about it. and I'm sorry for X, Y, and Z. And, we talked about it for a little bit, and that was it. I think being a good example and accountable when you're not, because we're not perfect. We try to act perfect in front of our kids, but they know.
Mm-hmm.
They watch, man.
Yeah, for
They're
sure.
like little mega computers. They remember everything.
A little sponge soaks it up everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
trust me, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Well, I want to shift gears a little bit. I wanted to ask you a couple more things. They're pretty big topics. One of them is about God, because I know we talked last time a little bit about forgiveness. You told the story about the young man who, died on your watch, essentially. And I thought about that conversation quite a bit. I don't have necessarily a follow up question other than to say, and kind of an observation, like it in some of your posts, like I've seen a little bit more of like the openness to talk about God. And I don't know if you've done that in the past or not. So if you have, forgive me for assuming something here. But I guess I would just wanted to see like, well, how's your relationship with God going? Like what's been the things that you're thinking about wrestling with or have peace about?
Yeah, I mean, I am a Christian. I believe in God. I am not a big fan of religion. And if you don't know the difference between faith and religion, I encourage you to kind of educate yourself. I think I think God gets a bad rap sometimes because his message gets twisted to manipulate people. So, yes, I have a, a very robust relationship with God and Jesus, right? I don't I don't advertise that. Like it's like religion and politics, right? Two of the best things to bring up at a party. But I, for a long time, I felt that's a very intimate thing. Like I don't need to share that with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what I think or what I believe. Um, I'd say with God, I'm concerned about some things. I try not to be overreactive to headlines, but for the first time in my life, I see things happening that I thought would never happen. Um, and that like you don't need to be a Christian or God to generally feel bad when something bad happens. Like I feel like that's pretty human, whether you believe in God or not. Um, but I feel like there is a surge in evil, and that's why I have started to outwardly show that I have a relationship with God.
Mm.
Because, there's that saying, like, something to the effect like, the world goes to hell when good men do nothing, right? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel a bit obligated to at least show how I lean, but I don't wish anybody ill. I'm not going to be on the street corner telling people they're going to go to hell if they don't repent. I'm not, that's not the relationship with God that I have. The relationship that God I have is do the best you can every day. Try to be a
Mm.
good person. Um, if people ask for your opinion and genuinely seek out your advice, give it to them and give it to them in a form that they can comprehend, meet them where they're at. You know,
Mm.
if you go to somebody who has been manipulated by a religion through either their parents or a past experience, and you start with down the path of, oh, you got to go to church every Sunday and da, 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 they're gonna tune you right out. So you know, my relationship with God is about opportunities will present themselves. God will send people to me, and I will evaluate what they are and address them appropriately. I'm friends with a lot of people that don't believe in God. but they admire me. So, you know, at least we're still talking,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what it's about. I think we want it to be black and white, and that fits really nice in our head,
Mm.
but it's not. It's complicated. It's nuanced. Lynette, my wife, she grew up in the Mormon church. Um, and I have friends that are Mormons, and her whole family's Mormon. Um, and they don't think, well, I'm not going to speak for them, but obviously they don't think that my belief in God is the right one.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them. But there are many things in the Mormon church that are very problematic. And Lynette has experienced firsthand some of those things. So, even in our relationship, how I perceive God and how her relationship with God is, we had to figure that out. And I think we're very much aligned. So
Mm.
that's good.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all that.
Hey, no problem.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I was just going to say, a couple of things. What you said earlier about kids, by example, I think that is like the best way, as Jesus says, like by their fruits you shall know them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't, not that you're necessarily asking, but I am a little, it's interesting since I've started doing this podcast, I consume quite a bit of podcasts.
Yeah.
I listen to the ones I really like, were like Chris Williamson with Modern Wisdom, Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, some of those pretty big ones. And there's something that I started noticing when I first started this, like, 2.5 years ago now, which is crazy to say. Like this topic of it was like cultural Christianity. So like observing what would be said as like a Christian value set, and like, oh well, that's good, and we should apply that, like, to you should be kind to everyone, which is totally true, totally fine. And now, like, in our nation, it's been really interesting to see it swing. It was so far over here. Like, I don't know if you could go any farther. And now the pendulum is gaining momentum and swinging the other direction. And I'll say that when, on the topics of just politics and religion, if you go back to the Dark Ages or the Protestant Reformation, you had where the church and the state were essentially one body.
Sure.
And like that's where a little bit of my like, ooh, that's a little trepidatious to me, because as soon as people start ascribing that to like the tribal mentality of politics, it's like, well, somebody's going to take it too far and it's going to go and be pushed so far that direction. So I've been a little like, man, that's terrible. Like I'm a little concerned about that, just with the whole thing what happened with Charlie. I think that traumatized so many people. It was horrible to see. Nobody deserves that. But then, like at his funeral, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this if you don't mind sharing. I know this is kind of a hot topic and touchy, but like with the way that the funeral thing was done, where we had a lot of like these heads of state coming in and kind of using his death and the way he was killed as like a means to an end, seemingly to get power back where and influence back where it had been evaporated before. It makes me a little concerned, because I think in the future, whenever that is fully bloomed, it will be, well, the world needs a rest day, or the world needs this, and if you don't get on board now and go to church at this day and you're not a part of our values, then we'll kill you. Because that's literally what like the Catholic Church did in the Protestant Reformation.
Yeah.
And we're still humans, and genocide still happens. Rwandan genocide, stuff going on in Gaza, call it genocide or not, like, humans are human. We haven't changed, truthfully. So
Nope.
like that's like, I'm like, what does that actually mean? How do I stand? Because like I've always loved Jesus, but should I just do only fruits? Is that what I should only do? Should I not ask these questions? Should I not ask my guests what do they think about God, and that kind of stuff? I don't know. I'm like thinking out loud here with you.
Pretty sure you're in charge of the content at your podcast, but
I definitely am. Although
you
one
know,
person one time did say, "I'll let you know if my PR department says that we can air it," and I had a pretty big conversation with that person.
oh wow. Well, you know, I I think you got to do what feels right to you. Be you, let everybody else adjust accordingly. And, um, I think that's what people gravitate to. Like you talk about Joe Rogan. Like I love his podcast because he's Joe Rogan. He's never trying to sell you something. never saying absolutes like you have to do this or you have to do that. He just gives you things to think about and he lets you, and that's it.
Draw your conclusion. Yeah.
Right. And I think, you brought up Charlie Kirk. I'm extremely disappointed that we lost that man. Just from a purely philosophical standpoint, extremely, very highly educated, very
Articulate.
articulate. He had a lot of really good ideas of different ways to approach things. And, if you want to talk about he said this or he said, I have never seen him say anything that wasn't from a place of logic. Like I've never heard him call people names. I've only seen him like be respectful. Now, when he was attacked, he responded, but he usually responded with some type of logic. And, people don't like that. And I understand that. Nobody likes having them shown to be inferior in some way. Now that said, I agree. I think the political machine. I talked to Nettie and I'll show you. Like every time I hear a news story, I can tell you if it involves someone who is not white. Just by the way the headline reads. Um, and that's wrong. And it's done on both sides, right? But no, like you look at the George Floyd thing, and I think that's what Charlie Kirk he became the anti-George Floyd, right? Like the funeral for George Floyd was absurd. Absurd. You had all these people, never knew the guy, you know, showing up, kneeling at his coffin, crying, like politicians crying at his. Are you serious?
Mm.
Like how disgusting to utilize something for your political gain. And that's what happened with the Charlie Kirk thing, right?
Right on the other side of the aisle. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was probably prettier and, white
They,
people liked it a lot better, right?
they had more music artists.
Right. And I just don't think it's right. And I will say this, like I've had people approach me and like, oh, you can buy a car and you do this and that, and I'm like, nah. Like literally, fuck no. That's me. That's me. That's my life. That's something that I went through, and no one is going to profit off of that. Like I'm not doing it because it's disrespectful to the person that I am. It's disrespectful to the woman who hit me, who later took her life.
Sheesh.
And, like that's where I'm at. Like I am not going to exploit something to make myself appear better or to gain in any way. Right? That was something very personal that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something I want commercialized. I think someone suggested I sell hats. I have this hat. It has a patch on it. I got the patch in Afghanistan. It has fun meter and it's maxed out.
Nice.
And I got it in Afghanistan, and it'd be the shittiest day ever, and we'd all put our fun meter patch on, and be like sucked up, and I just kept the patch, and I have a hat. I got a pull patch hat, and you can put Velcro patches on it, and I wore it a lot during my rehabilitation because it reminded me of who I was, because I needed that guy back. To get through that. So, a couple people saw it and commented like, "Oh, you should sell hats with that patch on it." I'm like, "Nah, there's only one way to get this patch, and you weren't fucking there, so you're not getting it." You know what I mean? And that's right, wrong, or different. That's how I feel. So I don't feel like you should be exploiting people, and we do that a lot. We exploit everything.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I've done it, but I think I will say I think the world is getting less of an affinity to appreciate things like that. Like they see it for what it is.
Yeah, the BS detector, everyone's getting a little more tuned in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, like, yeah, that was incredibly sad to watch Charlie Kirk. I saw the like, I opened my Instagram and the video was like right there and it played.
Yeah.
And, like, I immediately said, that guy's dead. I've seen that.
Yeah.
You're not surviving that.
Yeah.
And then I saw a report that he was still alive. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe that video was AI or something. But then he died and it was real. So, you know, it was horrible, horrible. And to see that or hear about that and to say he got what he deserved, that's pure evil, brother.
Yeah. No kidding. I want to ask you a question really quick about trauma, actually, because you've seen things on par, probably worse. I don't know what they are, but you've
Mostly
been
dirty
there.
diapers.
Yeah, mostly dirty diapers. Um, but like you've been, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm assuming a little too much, but I would assume, like, based on our conversation, like you have seen some pretty messed up stuff.
Sure.
Um, so yourself included, but also the men who you were like leading or with, comrade with, and working through that stuff. Would you agree or disagree with this statement that it's easier to control a person who's traumatized? Or maybe I should say influence. Would you say that's false or true?
I don't think trauma is directly correlated. No, I don't think that's true.
Not directly. Let me. I wouldn't. So I want to like kind of lay out what my brain's been thinking a little bit. If you still have time, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
But okay. So I'm trying to think of the best way to formulate this. So whenever like that video came out, right? Everyone sees it. I had people sending it to me who I normally don't even get stuff, and I was like, you should not watch that
Yeah, no.
because it was like traumatizing to them.
Yep.
But I feel like I have a hypothesis that I would love to lay out like in detail and depth. That is, the more you can collectively traumatize a group of people and like almost bond them together through this shared experience, you can then have them in such a box that you can prod with certain pieces of information and yeah, just pieces of information or like topics of conversation to kind of push people in a direction. And I feel like that's what honestly it's been happening because like first of all, you have the algorithm that is designed to keep you on these apps longer.
Yeah.
Now that thing is like the most shock bait. You used to have to go 17 layers deep and then find the dark web to see anything like that. And now it's just very easily out there and open. And it's concerning to me because I think that the more people are like seeing these things, you become desensitized to them, but two, like I think it's a form of control, like to scare people into a certain direction of thinking. I don't know, like because I noticed like even with me and the trauma that I experienced from my sisters, they became very easily manipulated in certain ways because of like I guess the lack of a father was part of it. Walking up to our house and my dad was like, literally hanging dead inside, like all of these things like that kind of influence your way of thinking. So anytime you ever come that near that type of a topic or like that type of an experience, you react in a certain way. And if you know that someone's going to do that, then you can present them with a piece of information or something that is similar and then therefore get them into that certain state of mind where then they become easily influenced, a little easier influence. I don't really have anything other than anecdote to point it to this, but I feel like there's got to be something there because humans are that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like crazy. What do you think?
Yeah. I think I understand what you're trying to say. Here's my thing about manipulation. To me, manipulation has always been about the control of information. Uh, and I say control of information. I don't want to say it's easier to manipulate people who are uneducated because it is. But those people are uneducated because they haven't received the proper information. So I'll just say Manipulation is about controlling information. And I think the more transparent the world becomes, the harder it's going to become to manipulate folks. Now, that said, I think there is some truth to your trauma theory. I think we have we have this prefrontal cortex in our brain, right? And then we have this big giant primordial, I don't know if I'm using that word, part of our brain back, right? So keep my heart going, my lungs, you know, big, big things back here, big rocks. Things like our personality, our faith, articulating concepts, that's all done up here. And when you traumatize somebody, guess what goes away? Right.
Yeah.
So keeping people in a state of trauma
Mm.
continually robs them of their articulate part of their brain.
Fight or
And
flight. They go and do two things.
yeah, it's going back
Yeah.
to the zebras, man. You know, they're always running from the lion.
I love that story.
Yeah, and it's the truth. They're always running from something that they're scared of. And I will say, if you evaluate politics, there's a certain party. They use the word "I'm scared" a lot, and another party doesn't use "I'm scared." And I think that is a way that that party that uses the word "I'm scared" manipulates their voter base through
Interesting.
fear. Through fear. Fear is powerful. Oh,
Mm.
extremely powerful. But fear puts you in a state where you're not articulate. You're not thinking rationally. It's almost involuntary, you know?
Mm.
Like when I was any trauma I've been through, initially I think of like the big things like my arms working, yep, my legs were okay.
Yeah.
And then I get this like I had it when I got hit by a car. I was out for a minute and then I woke up and there was people all around me and I didn't know what was going on and I'm like assessing like am I alive? And then I realized I was hurt. I could move my legs. I could move one arm. The other one was gone, like I couldn't feel it at all. But I
Wow.
realized, hey, I'm probably gonna live through this. And at that moment, I had like a moment of calm.
Mm.
And I started asking the bystander who was there, he put a tourniquet on my arm. I'm like, hey, what are you seeing? Like, he's like, well, your arm's pretty bad. I'm like, okay. I said, how's it? He's like, other than that, everything looks normal. And I'm like, okay, because I had blood in my eyes
Mm.
and glass. So, I'm like, all right, whatever. He's like, the ambulance is coming. They're gonna, and I'm just laying on the ground, like thinking, well, I'm not gonna win today. And I hear this woman in the background screaming bloody, like, oh my, like just screaming, screaming. And I finally said to the guy, I'm like, is that lady okay? Did she get hit by a car too?
She
And
hit you.
she goes, no, that's the lady who hit you.
Mm.
And she was, I mean, I was in pain, but like she seemed way worse off than I was, you know? And I asked him, I'm like, is she gonna be all right? He's like, yeah, she's just really upset. So, so I think initially in that trauma, in the initial response, you lose your articulation, you lose your prefrontal cortex, your ability to think rationally. You're kind of thinking, all right, am I going to get away from the lion? What do I got to do to get out of this immediate danger? But once that kind of moment of calm comes back and you get your frontal lobe again, I think trauma makes you better, more resilient to manipulation in some
Mm.
ways, post trauma, because you kind of
Fascinating.
you kind of lose some of your innocence too. You're
It
like, yeah, Go
It's
ahead.
super fascinating. I was just going to say, because you mentioned lion again, and this concept of fear, and I'm just kind of being reminded, like, oh yeah, like literally in the Bible, like the old, you're talking about Babylon. It was a city or an empire based on fear,
Yeah.
and their symbol, like through like that they had everywhere, was a lion with wings, but a lion. And it's like, oh, that's super fascinating to kind of bring this all around circle. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's crazy. I just want to say one last thing. The AI stuff. What I have realized too, like, just hear me out for a second, because you mentioned, like, well, I don't know if it was AI or real or not.
Yeah.
I had this epiphany the other day. I was walking through my house, and I was like, we are now at a place where I could get a phone call. It could be quote unquote my wife. She could tell me X, Y, and Z to do X, Y, and Z. I hang up. I don't know if that was actually my wife. I see a video, sends me a video of my wife. I don't know if that was my wife.
Yeah.
Literally, our entire world reality has been based around now these screens, but pretty soon we're at a place where it's caught up with the current generation, where they are losing the ability to discern what is fake and what is real.
Yeah.
If anything melts the fabric of society, brother, that's got to be it. Like, if you can no longer discern, because they're talking about blockchain this, and we're going to encrypt that and do this and that, and then quantum computing steps in and breaks everything. It's like, okay, well, can you garden? I can farm. Like, can
Yeah.
we? Yeah, let's go. Let's go do this, because yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah. I heard a news story. I think we were coming back from the gym today. They were talking about AI, and again, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
You don't think so? A problem with what? Like taking a job? Problem with
I don't,
creating hysteria? Like what?
in my experience, there is a majority of people. They are neither all the way on the right or all the way on the left. Like the fabric of America in the middle is where I like to focus, right? Because
Yeah.
there's always going to be some whack job from the right or left on TV saying this or that.
I'm gonna scream my rights into these microphone.
Right. And, you know, but then I think about, I definitely know people who didn't vote the way I voted, you know, and they're pretty reasonable. And like, I would say the large majority of people just want to live their life, work at a job, gain a decent living, have a safe neighborhood for their children. They don't really care about this shit, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who you pray to, who you're sleeping with, what color you are. Just be a decent human being, dude. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
really don't care. Nor should I. That's part of liberty. People always talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Liberty is also the liberty to live your life in a way that you want to live it, right? Whether I think it's wrong or not. Um, Now, it gets a little more nuanced when you talk about things like abortion, right? And, but everything else pretty much falls in that general, hey, just don't hurt nobody,
Mm-hmm.
Stay away from the kids, right?
Yeah.
I I don't care. Just, don't be pushing it down other people's throat. And, I think that's when things become a problem. When religious folks want to make non-religious folks listen to religion.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like it, okay? Well, of course they don't like it. And
Yeah.
it's when, gay and lesbian folks want to make non-gay and lesbian folks do things that are gay and lesbian. Like, I'm not gay. Okay, great. You guys go have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Live your life. I don't care, you know? Um, and it's that desire of acceptance of each other,
Mm.
I think, is where you get conflict. Look, I'm not changing. I'm 50.
The
I'm
most 50-year-old thing you can say.
I
I
could
love it.
I couldn't I probably couldn't change the way I think if I wanted to, because it wouldn't be true to my own heart. And you got to be true to your own heart. And not everybody has the same heart, because that's life.
Life and
But yeah,
experience
I don't think
perspective.
AI is going to be a problem. I
Yeah.
really don't. I think it's just
Good.
like, you know, it's just like cell phones and the internet. They had all these, Y2K was going to be the end of the world. You're probably too young to remember
No,
that.
I was 8. I remember everyone. I was like, but at 8 years old, I was like, what do you mean the clocks? Like I knew enough to be like that. That makes no sense. Like what would actually happen? There's no process or program in place where this computer is going to do something when it goes over to
Yeah,
2000. Like
a
where do you
huge
guys
amount
get
of
this
them.
from? Yeah, I was
But
actually a bit disappointed. I was hoping I was wrong.
I think AI will get to, and it's kind of a misnomer. I work in the industry. There's no such thing as AI. It's machine learning. Okay, it's a machine that has a certain amount of intelligence.
Yeah,
It's not like reading. It's not like studying. It's not like making it. It's
it's
got whatever
patterns. It's
you put
math.
into it,
Yeah,
right? It has algorithms. It can do searches. It can access different databases, right? But it's not sitting there going, I think Bill's wrong on that. Like, like it doesn't have
consciousness,
consciousness, right?
as everyone
And
says.
until that happens, I think we're safe because you're one on-off switch away from getting rid of it. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing doesn't run on oxygen. It runs on electricity that has to be generated. A lot of electricity, really. Like you could literally shut off half their brain getting rid of some of the data centers. So, you know, I I think AI is a good tool to make life easier. I don't think any rational person will see an AI video of their wife cheating on them and go, I'm going to base the rest of my life on this one video that I don't know where it's from and, make decisions solely on that. Like, I think they might like approach their wife and be like, hey, have you seen this? And she'd be like, no, that's not me.
But what
Obviously.
about this? What about this, Mark? You get a video of Nettie. She's like, "Hey, I'll be home or in 10 minutes. I'm just gonna go stop and do this, whatever, whatever." It's just like pretty nonchalant. She sends that or a voice message or whatever. She goes to that place. Somebody sent you that fake video to distract you. She actually got kidnapped. She's gone to another place. Like you can use it cleverly to trick people. I think to make smaller decisions that will lead to bigger outcomes. Maybe.
Yeah. Nettie's at 508 War Admiral
Is
Court.
she?
That's my
Is
address.
she? No.
I know where she is all the time. I have my bicycle on there too.
That's
Okay.
right.
Uh,
Nice.
uh, yeah.
I'm just poking you.
And I mean, that's the conundrum of any technology.
Yeah. How can it be used for good or for ill?
Right. There's always going to be nefarious actors using things to benefit them or to misrepresent things, right? Email. How many emails do you get a day from Abdul saying if you just give him $1,000, he can access his inheritance of $50,000 and he will give you 10%? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I don't mean
Yes,
to be
Abdul.
offensive to anybody named Abdul, but generally they have like African
Yeah,
Muslim names.
offensive. That's what it is. I got one of
Yeah.
those the other day. Someone
Yeah,
calling me.
like I'm an Ethiopian prince and I have
Yeah.
$60 million,
I know
but I
Bill
need a
Gates.
thousand
Yeah.
dollars right now. Like
Yeah.
I get emails like that all the time. And then, people who have a vested interest in the technology, sticking with the email example, right? They develop things to filter that out. Like those emails that I get like that, they go to my trash bin automatically.
Yeah.
Or if I get one in my inbox, I can click the three little dots and say, this is junk. And now anything that comes from that goes exactly to my junk box. I think AI will be exactly the same. That, people who are using it for nefarious reasons will devalue AI to the point where people won't use it. So the people who have a vested interest in AI being a useful tool
We'll get
will
rid of it.
put in safeguards to get rid of the nefarious actors.
I agree to a point. I will have to return back on this conversation in 5 years because I think that it's
So
yeah. We'll see what happens. Everyone's obsessed with making some. It's I say everyone. Those who stand at the helm of this ship and are buying them up the land and putting in hundreds of thousands of chips and then literally starting up nuclear power plants to supply these with power to
Yeah.
compute. I find that very interesting that there is literal billions being put into this when every time I use this system, even though if I paid the highest tier of these services, it doesn't even come remotely close to the amount of power that it's drawing. So the costs are it's totally subsidized right now. To me, it feels like that they're on a path to try to do something greater. And they've said, some of them, it's like, oh, we want to create this AGI, which is essentially God. They're trying so hard to figure out, what is consciousness? Can we put it into a machine? So there's this book called A Trip into the Supernatural by Robert Morneau. Have you ever heard of this book?
No.
Fascinating book if anybody wants to go read it. I'm not saying that I think it's right or excuse me, true or false, but he's a man who claims to be, this is written back, I think, in the 70s. He is a man who claimed to be part of Church of Satan, okay? Long story short, he comes to this place at this house, and he is a lawyer, and they walk down into the basement, and this guy's like, oh yeah, this is like where the spirits, I think is what they say, write these appellate briefs for cases. So they opens the door, and he looks inside, and on a bunch of desks, there's like 12 different typewriters going and writing appellate briefs for all of these guys. And he's like, yeah, we don't really lose cases. Closes the door and goes on. So, that to me was like, oh, that seems like very similar to what ChatGPT can do now. If with my spiritual belief, seeing some very real things that we can talk about later, and knowing what I read in the Bible about, like, the principalities and powers are very real. If the technology gets to a place where, we all just say, like, yeah, we don't really know how it works, it is what it is. If you marry the thinking, the machine learning with a nefarious spiritual force that can also implement and start to, weasel its way in there, and you can no longer distinguish between the two, that's when I think it becomes a problem. Because at that point, we're kind of, I know you may not agree, but like I just see one perspective, one angle of this, of how it could be kind of crazy. So it sounds wild to say such a thing, but I think that there may be something to it. So well, who knows? Could be
I'm
crazy.
going to say one word to you, Seth.
Yes.
Faith.
Faith.
That's it.
Faith
Have
in.
Have faith.
Yeah.
In the world.
You think I should have faith in the world?
Yeah.
I don't think I should.
I think you should.
Now, that's not to say that I don't hope for the best in people and want to see the best in people. But
Yeah.
the world, if we're talking about just the collective everything of people, like, I don't know if that... I've always struggled with that, because like there's good and evil in all of us, but left unchecked, like that, it will always grow into the grossest thing possible, I think, without like a desire for some good or an influence of good. I don't know. I haven't figured it all out yet. I don't know if I ever will.
I think a large majority of the world experiences the world through social media, through mainstream media, through the things like YouTube. I think the people in this world that actually go to other countries and talk to people from different cultures, I think they are on a different level. Because they're like, these people are just like us. They just have a different word for it. Like, it's literally, that's the way it is. Like, there's I'd say based on the places I've been in the world, and I've been in a lot of places, I would say 70 to 80%
If people are good people.
of cultures are common. Like, they just want to be left alone. They just want to, like, take their kids for ice cream or whatever. And it's these things that are remarkable, and I'm not using that word in a positive way. They're remarkable because they're unique or different.
Outliers.
Those are the things that get clicks and likes and views. And that's how we form. I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters, and 2 of my brothers, I'm gonna sound like an ass, but I don't understand how they're genetically connected to me. Never been anywhere. They lived in the same small town their whole life. They're in their 60s now. And you talk to them, like I'll go home and they'll be like, oh yeah, what about that the gays in California? And you're like, dude, I've been to I lived there for 7 years
Yeah.
and
Just the
everybody's gay.
uneducated. Yeah.
And I'll propose something contrary to their what they saw on a movie, right? Or the news.
You're
And
an
they'll,
idiot.
oh, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And then they'll talk like, oh, Koreans, this. And I'm like, dude, one of my buddies, I was in the Navy, it's a Korean guy. Love him. His parents are awesome. They like me more than I liked him. Like, they're amazing people. I don't know. I gotta watch out for that. Like, just shut up, you ignorant.
Yeah, that's true. People used to do that about the Chinese a lot because I went to China for 5 times, and like by and large, there's a lot of stuff obviously that gets pushed out that I don't agree with. But the nicest, kindest people I've literally ever met in my life.
You mean like
Some of
you?
the greatest. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a
Oh,
human.
weird.
Yeah,
Weird. So
yeah,
weird how they're just like you.
yeah. Isn't that crazy? A human. They look a little different. That's about
You
it.
know you're helping me make the point,
I
right?
am. No, yeah, I like your point. Like, I think it's good. I think for a long time growing up, I did believe, like, in the back, the way that I grew up in the religious context that I did, I, there is this kind of unspoken thing that, well, it's like anybody outside these walls, like, well, they're of the world. So then you're like, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, we're good, they're bad. Oh, okay, well, then that means that whoever's going to quote unquote go to heaven when Jesus comes back, well, we're the minority. So the vast majority of people, and it's like, no, I don't actually think that's true. And there's biblical stories that kind of point that out when, who was it who was crying out to God? Like, I think it was Elijah or Elisha. He's like, there's no one here who's good. And God's like, hey, I got 7,000 over here. I got 7,000 over here. So I think you are right. Like, the majority of people are good. But I've also, I guess the only reason I kind of disagree with that still is that I've seen so many people walk away from their relationship with God, and their main excuse was, well, when I was in the church, such and such pastor did this, molested that person, did that. And I'm like, yes, those things are bad. But if we ever allow people to become our standard for right and wrong, rather than just like an example of what right and wrong can be and look like, then like we're misaligned, because all of us are going to fall. I'm going to fall as a father to my children. And if they lose faith in me, and then they can't figure out how to point themselves, that's why I guess where like my faith really, I think I only want faith in what I know is 100% unequivocally true, and that the only thing that exists out there, I think, is like God, love. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't subscribe to any organization that tells you that any person is closer to God than you are. And you can draw your conclusions from that, but
yeah,
I don't give a shit I don't care what you've done in your life. You're not any closer to God than I am. I don't care if your name starts with P and ends in OPE. You're not closer to God than I am. You got a nice robe and it's a pretty cool scepter there, but you're not. Priests are not closer to God. Pastors are not closer to God. And anybody tells you that you're not as close to God as every other person on this planet has some type of ulterior motive to manipulate you into thinking you're inferior in some way and that you should listen to them. I honestly believe that. Any pastor that tells you he's closer to God than you are, he's not preaching the gospel.
yeah, yeah. I don't think you should say that, but there is something to be said about maybe like who was it that was it Elijah? I always get them mixed up. Elijah, that it says in the Bible like he was so close to God, basically like he walked up into heaven. God came down in a chariot and was like, "Well, you're ready. You're one of the very few early. Grab you and take you to heaven." Did you ever read that story?
Yeah, I don't remember that specifically, but
Well, anyway, yeah, I think I align with you. Like, you don't. That's not what it's about, for sure. Humans are human, man, and they can be really good and beautiful, but then also we can manipulate and turn each other into a bunch
we're
of muck.
sinners. We
Yeah,
are sinners, bro.
100%. Yeah.
And yeah, that's I still struggle with it today.
Yeah.
I do things and I'm like, this is not right.
Yeah.
And then I do it and I'm like, no, sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
I know you saw that.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Not my best moment, right?
Yeah.
But that's how it is. And you don't need to tell anybody. That's between you and God. And you repent in your own way. Some people like to donate money and or be a pastor or volunteer, and I believe in that. I think you can overcome things that are internal by doing things externally.
Mm.
It's like I like helping people. Like I'm just a natural little helper. So, I'll go out and I'll help someone, and sometimes it's not someone that probably deserves to be helped. Like Lynette will point that out, and like, they're taking advantage of you, right? I'm like, nah, they're not taking advantage of me. I'm doing it because I want to do it,
And you get the
and
joy of it.
and it makes me feel good, and I feel God in me when I do it. Like I feel godly,
Mm.
and sure, they're getting
Yeah.
a free whatever. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit.
I'll text you my address, by the way. Just kidding.
No,
Look, cool, man. Well, Mark, thank you so much for allowing me to soundboard and kind of go back and forth. I love doing these podcasts, especially the round 2 and round 3 ones, because you get a little more rapport with someone and you can go back and forth, and it's super fun.
yeah,
It is and very enlightening and brings me a lot of joy. So thank you
same.
so much.
I just felt like I was talking to. It's weird. Like I feel like we're just having a conversation, and then you see
Hmm.
the actual podcast, and you're like, "Oh my God, I said that."
Yeah, that's
You know,
probably the old
but
bait and switch. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But I am who I am, and I say stupid things just like everybody else. So I don't
yeah.
mean any harm by any of it, and
Same.
you know, I really enjoy talking to you as well, and I
Thanks,
think
brother.
you're doing a good thing. So keep
Thanks,
doing.
brother. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. Appreciate you.
yeah, man. Same.
Thank you so much to Mark for jumping on again. Always enjoy these round 2 interviews for the depth of conversation, the rapport that you're able to build, over one episode and going into a second one is really cool, and I really appreciate it. Not saying that the first ones aren't amazing, because they are, but with like any friendship, new friends are amazing, but old friends, ones that you can cultivate and make over time, that's really special to me. So yeah, thanks for letting me be myself on this podcast. Really appreciate you guys making it a place where I can come and share what I'm thinking and feeling in an open forum. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you later.